Hi guys, today we're joined by Mark Cox of Still Game and Chewin the Fat. I think I've just got a text. I did get a text, it's from Struan about this episode. He says, "You were far better than me." What? What? You were far better than me. Kinda had the impression he wasn't fond of me. If that's not a reason to watch, I don't know what is. I personally think Struan is overthinking it. Was actually fine. He was just going along with a wee bit. But we also ask. A viewer asked us to ask, who's got the biggest cock out of the Still Game guys? If that's not a reason to watch, I don't know what is. And quite frankly, what other podcast is going to be fucking stupid enough to ask that? Just us. So, watch pod, subscribe, please subscribe. We've got 143 subscribers and 17 of them are me. So, fucking do it, fucking do it. How's that for a wee transition there, Struan?
That's going to cost me, so I see this on video as well, isn't it? So, my first question is, if you were to get marooned on a desert island with another cast or actor from Still Game, in character, who are you taking with you to get, or just to survive?
Are you talking about the character's name?
The character's name. We can then do like the actor in person.
I'd probably it'd probably have to be Navid.
Right.
We would maybe hope that he could maybe bring some stock with him too, said island.
So it's not for his Bear Grylls style skills?
No. Well, I know he can cook as well, I'm understanding. Plus he's got quite big hands in the event he needs a massage. But you don't want to be bringing either. She'd be talking about how difficult it is when he's talking non-stop. You'd need to murder her and eat her. Probably.
It's an option. It's an option.
Yeah. But probably I would say Navid. Oh aye, Sanjeev Kohli.
And if you're taking someone out of character, who are you taking?
I'd need to take Jane McCarry, obviously. She's my buddy, you know, her bestest.
Yeah.
And she'd keep me going. She'd keep you laughing till dehydration and malnutrition eventually got you. You know what I mean? That's what would happen. She's we've got experience of being going away working with each other.
You spent quite a lot of time.
Yeah, desert island's a different thing, right enough, but aye, probably Jane, I would say.
And my wee sister, so shout out to Gordon, she might watch this episode now, asked why the Dashing White Sergeant over the slosh.
Why the Dashing White Sergeant?
I think that was the way it was phrased, yes.
Is it not why the slosh over the Dashing White Sergeant?
Well, that's what I thought as well, but I didn't want to misrepresent her question.
How old's Corinne?
She's 30.
Oh, she's 30?
Yeah. Right. she's not a wee girl.
I was going to say, oh, you're a silly sausage, you might have got that round the wrong way. Corinne, get a grip. That doesn't sound right. It's always the slosh, I think, because I don't actually know why, but obviously it's a much more... I think it's a more modern vibe on it as the slosh opposed to the Dashing White Sergeant.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, sorry to disappoint you, Corinne. 30. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry if I got your question wrong. You've made you look like a dick.
A bit. He's that left you. She's hung you to dry.
So another crowdsourced question, and there's one I had anyway, which, in terms of getting into the character for Tam. What kind of time was involved in getting something through makeup and costume for something
Well,
like that?
that kind of thing when you were... Obviously, you would be in the chair for an hour, at least.
Right.
And you would get 2 layers of latex put in your face.
As latex is not, yeah.
No, so it was latex back then. You obviously get a wig that you need to have clamped onto your head. It's all very painful. Don't get me wrong, it's no hard work like my father used to work, but then as it went on, when you actually got more wrinkles yourself, you needed less time.
Less time in the chair. Because it ran for over what kind of period?
I don't know. So it's like 25 years, maybe, is it, overall?
So as long as
With
that, I was going to say a couple of
suppose.
decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because you went from the sort of the days before ultra high definition 4K cameras, and that was sort of the 2018 exchange, and there was a wee bit of, I don't want to use the word backlash necessarily, but
There was.
it didn't feel what it felt like to people. I'll be the first to admit, I only came to this last year and watched the thing in its entirety. I'd seen bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I'm about as out of the loop as it's possible to get with popular culture.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. I think when it came out at first, it looked
It's sort of gritty feel to
gritty,
it.
it looked dirty.
Yeah.
We filmed in real pubs, which were real pubs,
Was that not the case latterly?
No. Latterly, we had a build. So it was an internal build of a replica of the pub, including the outside, I might add.
Uh-huh.
We used to film in a real pub called Gimlet up in Springburn, Mary Hill.
Yep.
Which was a...
It was a working pub. It was
a working pub, which apparently never shut, because we used to turn up at 8 o'clock in the morning and the back lounge would be going like full tilt for the night before.
Right.
Oh yeah. And we had that was a real, a real old school pub.
Uh-huh.
But obviously, as you say, digital made it look clean, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked, I think clean is the best way to describe it. And it was, I think for me, there was something, well, as a series as an entirety, it felt very almost comfortable and cosy, and it was sort of, it had that kind of charm.
Lasted the summer swines. Yeah.
And it was because it wasn't overly highly produced at that point. I think that it sort of had that, and the characters didn't change when the cameras changed, but yeah, that sort of nice clean. I actually noticed in one of the latter episodes that Jack was wearing a shirt that I have. And when they talked about
the Korean buy you that.
I was sitting there and I wasn't wearing the shirt at the time. I was like, I recognise that. That's a Charles Tyrrell shirt. And I thought there was all the talk of where the clothing came from that was pre-marked. No, that's not a $5.99 shirt. That's a good £20 one.
They wouldn't tend to be pre-marked, but what you would wear is everything was 100% man-made. You were a fire risk the whole time you were on. It was not a bit of cotton.
Yeah.
It was all had Farah slacks and V-neck acrylic jumpers and all that. It was everybody had.
It must have been quite warm being in latex hats.
It was very warm at times. Especially when you filmed. See, in the latter period when you filmed in that big warehouse, it was old Whiskey Bond with the film River City.
Right.
So you had the sun beating down on the roof of that, and then you're in another roof below it. It was
just like being in a greenhouse but magnified.
Yes, boiling. Red raw for the warmth.
Oh no, that's because I remember I did a stint in a rabbit costume or something like that when I worked at a garden centre for like Easter, and so you're in a big costume like that, and so I imagine it's sort of similar but slightly different experience being.
Are you trying to put my many decades in acrylic to the 3 days you wore a rabbit costume?
It was about 3 days.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't as
I feel
talented.
terrible, but why do the bad things happen to good people? I ask you that. A rabbit costume for 3 days, Jesus, what a life.
So, do you have a favourite episode or part of an episode that you look back on?
I loved lots of it, and I was never a watcher. I never tended to watch it. That's not really, but certainly when I remember back and things I laughed at were. I loved the 80s one. No, it's 80s one. The 70s one with the lift and all that. I liked that. The New Year one, which was a retro. It was a Christmas special or a New Year special.
Uh-huh.
I liked Cairds when I won the buggy from Joe. I loved lots of them actually. They were all, vast majority were very well written, weren't they? You know, it was funny.
And do you have any input into the writing or the story development?
No,
those?
the Ford and Greg would write all of it. That was their
They would.
thing. That's what they did, you know. And obviously, you would chop and change wee bits and bobs as you went along, but predominantly it was
their
ready
writing.
to go. It was written.
And I dare say you've had this question a few times now, but Tam, is he based on a real person, or is he a Frankenstein of a few different?
Tam was based on a friend of Ford Kierland's. I won't mention his name, but he was miserable, and he's so miserable that he became a priest. And this isn't even a joke. He became a priest, and no doubt he was maybe called to the priesthood, but he certainly enjoyed it because you get a free house.
So you get a house thrown in with a gig, don't you?
And there was actually the incident where I go on holiday and still game the episode where Winston gives me his suntan lotion and I burn my head.
Yes.
I put it in it. Well, that Paul actually did that to this person in real life.
So
this person came back and said, "I'm no paying for that sun. I want yours." He said, "Well, I'm not getting it. Just give me it." So he said, "All right." And he went home and he went and emptied it and put in salad cream.
Salad.
Yeah. Came back with a big boily red head.
Properly skullduggerous behaviour.
Yes, terribly skullduggerous.
And you and Jane have a bit of a business. You talked to us a little bit about what type of events you put on and how that came about.
Jane and I have done lots and lots of work together. We've actually worked together, obviously in the show, but she was above me at drama school.
As in like a year above?
A year above.
She was ahead of you? Right.
She was ahead of me. She's much, much older than me, Jane. I don't know how long, but she's much, much older than me. But the same university that we went to, Queen Margaret University, 2 years ago, made us honorary doctorates.
Yes.
So we're doctors now. I'm Dr. Cox, she's Dr. McCarry. So we can change your name in your passport if you like.
Have you taken them up on that? And is it too pretentious?
It's a wee bit much because somebody would say in the plane, "Is there a doctor on board?" And I couldn't help myself, and I'd say, "Mm-hmm." And they'd say, "Can you come and see this patient?" I'd say, "What's wrong with you?" And he'd say, "I can't breathe." But then I'd go, "Listen, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I can tell you some really good stories about the crankies if you want." It's probably your heart. Just wait till you get a stent in, but wait till you hear this story.
Make the whole thing worse to make them laugh.
Yeah. So you can do that, but I won't do that because I'm lots of things, but I'm not a wanker. Can you say wanker?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think in the context of this, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That must have been quite an accolade, though, to receive. And that was sort of impact upon the Scottish sort of culture scene.
I think it was. The show's obviously the most popular programme ever made in Scotland, and it's travelled overseas now and via Netflix. And it's a great association with the university themselves.
Yes.
So we were there, Jane and I, with other people. One guy had climbed every mountain in the world for charity. See, he'd done his bit. So we did the acting. You know, we did some act. What did you do? We acted. And but I suppose it's a good to have an association with something like that. So they were pleased.
It's a good. Not to sound too cynical, but promotional piece for them to be able to say our alumni have gone to do this.
Yeah, exactly. We were in front of the magazine as well, Jane
Yeah.
and I in costume. That was quite good. And we go through and see the diploma shows that they do, and it was a great time. I loved it. We loved being there. You know, it was a great time to be studying what you want to do in life.
Yeah, and so what brought you into acting? Because you started off plumbing, is that right?
I started
So an apprentice.
apprentice plumber, and then apprentice joiner.
Oh, joiner.
A joiner, but I'd always wanted to do it. I went to Glasgow Schools Youth Theatre when I was at school, and I loved it. I was riffing West Side Story. That was fantastic. There was about 3,000 in the cast, and I always remember it. But I did that, and I was very, very keen. So I just auditioned for drama school, and I got in when I was 18. So I had to give up my apprenticeship, which was disastrous in a working class home when you're going to become.
How was that received by the family?
It was received really, really poorly. I was like, turn that telly down, what? You know, it was that kind of thing, you know. Like,
We're going to have a chat.
What does an actor do? Nobody knows an actor. Actors are on the like that. So, but I'm glad I stuck with my guns. And eventually, my father and the rest of them got on board, you know.
Yeah, well, when it all starts to fall in place, it's
Aye.
Yeah.
It is good, and the benefit, not everybody gets a chance to do stuff that you really love doing. Do they?
No,
You know?
no. Most people, it is you get a job, you end up with a wife, probably a mortgage,
Yep.
and you're sort of stuck in a lane, and it's very difficult.
Stuck in a lane dogging. That's
Well.
what generally happens. Well, that's what you told me in your rabbit costume. But it was,
Did you see the hat still in the back of the car?
yeah. So no, that's it. And it doesn't really owe you anything with regards to the fun and adventures and everything else. And that's what life should be about.
It's got to be enjoyable. You spend far too much of your life working for it to be anything other than enjoyable.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, for the vast majority of people, it's not the case.
No.
I don't think, which
No.
is it's a great shame.
You need a good bit of luck, obviously, in lots of these businesses, and ours included. And I suppose you need to put yourself in the position of getting that, and that's what happens, if you're fortunate enough.
Looking back on it, was there like a pivotal moment, like a break that sort of set you in the right trajectory?
I think there's going to break with regards to, you work in the theatre and you do everything else, then you're pals with different actors, and you happen to be pals with Paul. He was doing the stage show, Still Game, in Edinburgh. It was a three-hander then. And he said, they're doing this thing called Chewin the Fat. Do you want they want us to do wee bits and bobs in it? Do you want us? I'll do that. And then that starts, and then there's a couple of wee scenes with the old men singing songs in it.
Yeah. This is where I've got to make another confession. I've seen bits.
My God, honestly, what is this guy? Do you know what I mean?
You like chatting to Daryl more than me.
No, that's fine, absolutely. Of
Saved the
course,
best for
it's
last.
very, very, very dated. Chewin the Fat now, if you watch it. Stuff would never get made, lots of it.
Do you think now, though, the programmes like that would get made and they would translate to an audience the way they did back then?
No, some of the stuff would be kibosh before they even get made.
Just
just on topic.
Just tasting decency.
Just tasting decency. And, it just wouldn't happen. So that started with the Sang the Old Songs, and then obviously BBC were keen to have them do something else, and they wanted to do Still Game.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, people talk more and more about how stand-up is becoming more woke, but then there's more on the table probably in that regard than there was before. Just some people are pushing back against it. But when it comes to television, it sounds like it might be more difficult to make the jokes that you would have done maybe 15, 20 years ago. And now that's the thing that's maybe sort of cracked down on more than what people are saying on a stage.
Yeah, I think that you can talk about lots of things far more openly now. If you watch anything, you can watch about all the violence, and I don't sound like Mary Whitehouse, but drugs and everything else. It's a big, big business, and the dramatisation of it. But you say there's obviously certain topics, rightly so, many of them that you shouldn't be making.
Yeah, light of
or whatever. I think, but it's probably a difficult procedure if that's what you're doing, trying to get something passed to write it, because everybody, when you send stuff in, has to go through.
There's like levels
to it.
Yeah. And someone at some point's got to put their foot down and say,
no,
this is probably not going to do well in front of an audience.
Uh-huh.
It might be very niche then, but
well, that's it.
It's all about, at the end of the day, it is about all about viewership, isn't it? Because that's what pays wages. And
well, that's it. If people are not watching it, they won't make it.
No. And you talk about Still Game sort of being international now, and it's on Netflix, and that's where I watched it. How well does that travel? Because it feels very Scottish.
It feels very Scottish, and they're always surprised. And there's people from America, Japan. There's a boy that came over. We heard Gavin Mitchell talks about him. Koki. He came over a couple of Christmases ago to go and visit Still Game sets himself.
Right. Just himself. Just that was his.
Bought a flat cat, went up to Mary Hill. I'm not even joking.
Amazing.
And we all sent him videos, so. It does. It'll translate. People watch it.
Yeah.
People coming to do tours of Outland and they want to go and do tours of the sets of that as well. You know, and so I guess that's the spread of things like Netflix.
Yes, I think that's the reach it has. Whereas I sort of have memories of my grandparents who were Springside. It's like not the most salubrious of areas, and that was something that they watched, and my dad is quite plays quite different humour, so I don't think like that sort of Scottish stuff really came into our house too much. But it feels very sort of multi-generational. Like you could have children watching it, parents, grandparents, and that's one of the nice.
What's very obvious is that comedy, particularly, there's usually, well, that's good, that kids will like it up to their late teens, and then there'll be people that like older stuff. It seems to go through all genres. You say it's multi-generational. People, I like to say it's the accused and the judge watch Still Game.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And that is the truth. And old people watch. When older people watch, it makes me laugh. I always find that dead funny when they recognise you and they're actually dressed like you're dressed in the show.
Yeah. Well, this is something I came across trying to do a wee bit of background research. Did you narrate the the Roald Dahl book, The Three Little Pigs?
I did that with the Scottish National Orchestra, wasn't it? That was fantastic. A full orchestra behind you as you're reading the story.
And you were reading it?
Yeah,
This was live?
at the concert hall.
Right,
I
okay.
went to Edinburgh as well, went to the Usher Hall.
How did that come about?
That was via, I can't even remember who that was via now, but they were obviously in the West End, went up to see them, and they used to do that. I think they would do it yearly, but it was something so different with this magical sound behind you. I remember when we were doing it, we did it in Dundee at Caird Hall, and it was a Sunday afternoon, and they were practising. They were warming up, they were doing stuff in the afternoon, they were listening, and I could hear different things. I could hear a different sound. I thought, what's that? I could hear them, and I goes towards the door, and there was an orange walk passing outside at the same time. What a clash of music.
That's not what Roald Dahl envisioned.
No,
It's just like
no, he did not. But that was, that was one of these other experiences that you would never get.
No.
It was really nice.
That must have been quite something. I remember.
Do you think nice is a shit word?
No, there are times when it's.
I like
it's apt.
nice. I like
Nice.
using the word nice.
Yeah, no, there are times where it's apt. I think that is one we used to get in trouble for as kids. We had strict parents. Looking
obviously.
back on it.
You used to describe who your grandparents were brought up?
Say again, sorry?
Who your grandparents were brought up? You used a word to describe what it was.
Salubrious.
Oh, not salubrious. No.
Not where they would use the word salubrious.
No. We've transcended that. No, Springside is, I think it's an old mining kind of village, a bit like sort of Anbank and Lisbon and things like that, but in the north Ayrshire. And okay, it's not as bad as all that, but I think it had a bit of a reputation back in the day.
A working village, a hard
Yeah.
working place.
Hard
Yeah.
working village.
Drinking.
And probably some other things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it is. But it was that's
What is the other thing? What are the other things you're talking about? Dressing up as rabbits again,
Yes.
probably. I understand. I understand. You're all right. Carry on.
Yeah, I was when you talked about having a live orchestra for that production. I think it was either Harry Potter. I think it was Harry Potter. We went to see with a live orchestra doing and that was quite fantastic. And I think I've seen them at the Ayrtown Hall. They did a production of the Lord of the Rings music live, and it's just there's some things that just work very well.
Blow your mind.
Yeah, was that how nerves attached to that?
I was quite nervous doing that because, all these people are at the top of their game as well. You remember, it's no...
But I mean, there's an orchestra, you got 20, 30, something
yeah.
so if one person misses but if you miss a word, or
Aye.
you're the guy that everyone looks to.
Exactly, but I did have the words in front of me. But if any of them made a mistake, I would just turn around and be really disappointed.
shake
go
the
like
head.
that. Fuck's sake. Roald Dahl was he was a big fan of that term. Fuck's sake, man. You're spoiling this for everybody. Sometimes I'd fall up with that, but that's harsh.
It's pointless for everybody.
Yeah.
And when you were doing the live run of shows, Still
Hydro.
Game, yeah. Oh, well, two-part question. Any nerves attached to acting?
Well, that's a different thing entirely. You always have nerves when it's attached. You should have nerves, when you're doing something new. But when you're going out in front of 12,000 people, their show,
I would imagine that's
something completely different for everybody. We used to we do dress rehearsals with nobody in the Hydro, completely empty. You'd be doing dress rehearsals as a show, and I remember thinking, this is a disaster. There's no chance this will work.
No.
People will hate this. But there you go.
But you had what, three runs over a
We
few
had
years of
about
that?
60 shows over three
Different
yeah,
sort of, yeah.
yeah.
What about when you're acting? So you're going on set when you're with people you know, and there's a safety blanket, I suppose,
Yeah.
of you can take it again.
Well, there is that. You can do that again. There's a bit of comfort when you do something you know very well. But if you're doing something, I was doing a thing for Netflix the last month, a big thing through in Edinburgh, and that is quite nervous because I know some of the actors are in it, but it's
different crew and
a different thing and it's a different scale.
Yeah.
Same as Outlander, it's an enormous scale and it's you know it's a different pressure, isn't it?
I would imagine so. I mean, this is a pressurised situation. We have got a fairly big name on a fairly small podcast.
Yeah.
Not wanting to mess up the filming aspect, we want to try and get some decent photos so that
Yes, I think we've got some decent photos. I'm quite happy about that, to be honest with you. I'm decent. I think maybe. Hi there.
Does that happen often?
Yep. Happens all the time. And it's aye, so it's different. I mean, obviously it's very. Other actors that would come in, it's still game were nervous.
As they came into later in the season.
Because they were coming into something that was
very established and people understand and know the dynamics, and then you try to fit a new person into that. Yeah, that must be slightly challenging.
Yeah, but that's good, and a lot of people we knew, and it was always you're always very welcome.
Yeah, but I suppose it's then down to your sort of peers and production people around you to help you feel that welcome.
Yes.
That's got to translate to a better performance.
Oh, absolutely.
But I thought being on edge is not necessarily the best.
No, and the writing's always good, and it's impossible to make a good show at a bad writing, but you can make a bad show at a good writing. That's the truth. And but I hope what they achieved over the piece, more a positive thing. People loved it, and it was very well written, I think.
Mm-hmm. But one last question then.
Yeah.
Any roles that you haven't taken on over the years that you maybe regretted?
Oh. No, I wouldn't say that, because actors can, you're involved in something that you were, you're lucky enough to be involved in, and obviously you do miss out on certain things, but that's the nature of the business.
Yeah, you can't do absolutely everything.
Can't do it. And I always loved drama, proper drama, and I've started doing bits and bobs of that now that I've stopped doing it, and I enjoy doing that. Serious. I love serious. Love watching drama.
You didn't find that it's coming from the sort of still game and Chewin the Fat background that there was a sort of potential to be typecast into a comedic
role? There is.
role?
With it, up here, there tends to be, but sometimes if you're getting cast with things that are,
I suppose that's Scottish work rather than further afield.
Yeah. And that's fine. We're now touring about just now doing it's a Q&A with 5 of us. Jane, Paul, Gavin, Sanjeev, myself, an airplane, and that's great. We're touring that down south. That's in Belfast, and people are coming out down south to see it and talk, and they're asking about everything. It's fantastic.
Yeah. How much do you value the sort of interaction between sort of public side of things and being the actor?
Oh, absolutely. I think if you're going to be in something like that, that's where people love it, and they tell you so. And I think it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing.
It's a chance for them to show their appreciation for the work that you do.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, for people of our age growing up, barring myself, obviously, it was a fairly big part of people's life. And I do remember, like, a lot of the chat in the playground and the kind of patter that came from that was based on Chewin the Fat at that time. That was probably
That's right.
The one thing that does stick in my head was people running around singing Milk, Lemon and Chocolate.
Oh, yeah, of course, that's right.
And I think I probably picked up on a few things that, again, from my grandparents' television that I wasn't getting at home. So that's my next series that I'm going to dive into is
good you do that.
Chewin the Fat.
If you can find time. I don't know what you were doing, is it? That's fine, all right.
This is the thing, like, and I'm not, and it's the same thing nowadays as well. When people say, "Have you seen that film?" It's like my girlfriend just says, "There's no point in asking him. You know he's not seen it."
Is that right?
I don't really know where the time goes elsewhere. I like being outdoors. I think I grew up in the countryside and I spent a lot of time out wandering, exploring and fishing and things like that, and to a certain extent, I'm probably still the same
I
way.
don't know much about fishing, but I'm sure you need to sit down. Could you not just get headphones and watch something while you're fishing?
I tend to be up to my waist and
Oh,
all that.
right, that kind of fishing, right, okay. Showing off fishing. Yeah, I see. Right, fair dues. All right. Well, if you can find time, that's great.
I'll do my best.
Magic. Thank you.
So I appreciate your time today, and
No,
I'm
no.
looking forward to
Thank you.
touch. So it's sometimes sign
What do you
off.
do?
Just like a wee cheers.
That's quaint. It's not even creepy.
Did we introduce where we were?
No, we haven't introduced where we are yet. No.
Okay, right. So we're at in my local beach. We're in Green and Shore. We've got Green and Castle behind us. Thank you very much for coming down to Ayr.
No, that's absolutely fine. You can just walk out your front door down to the place. I'll drive from there. No, it's a pleasure being here, and a lovely beach. What a view.
We've had a nice day.
Castle.
And Struan took a couple of my questions, so I think maybe 10 minutes this will just be us just sitting enjoying the sun.
Yeah.
I think. Got a good day for it.
Lovely. Great. That's excellent.
It felt right within the moment.
No, it did fit. I'm only joking. No, I'm genuinely not hurt about it. So one line that stuck out to me from you was bag of oh no, I fucked it. Bag of pakora, right? You scants down, which I thought was a belter. I absolutely loved it. But
right.
I just wanted to know: is there like a specific line from your like Chewin the Fire Still game days that's like stuck with you?
No, there must have been many over the piece. And there was that one I quite liked. I suppose it was quite. It was when they were taking over the hospital DJing from me.
Yep.
And I was being very, very sincere with them, telling them about you need to treat these people right, and they deserve it, and people are up there sick, and chatting about this. Saying, "It's a nice watch." And I said, "That's right." Doogie so and so, Ward 10 cancer. Quite dark, but so there's lots of different things like that, and there's lots of stuff, isn't there, over the piece?
Yeah, some absolute belters. The writing's just genius from Gregory Ford. But how did the kind of affectations and like how you spoke? How did that come about?
Well, I suppose you just we're going to work that, don't you, over the period of doing it and trying it out, and the noises that old people make, you know.
Yeah.
Ooh, and that kind of thing, and obviously he had an affection for value, didn't he? So that would kind of get him going.
Yeah.
Oh no, he did say to Dorothy Paul, who was the actress who was playing Frances, my sister. No, not Frances. My wife's sister in the show. What was her name again?
Your wife's sister.
She came to live with us, and it was played by Dorothy Paul, and she was always
Mary something.
He'll know.
The character was, I didn't marry.
Oh, so she did. That's right. But I had to say her at one point, didn't I? Because she kind of Sharon Stone me at one point, and I had to say to her, "Oh, you get me harder than the crossword in the Herald." That's right. That's right.
And Struan kind of touched on it, like between I don't know, 8 and 15, just all the patter was. Is that your 40? Is that no? All the patter was like Chewin the Fat and everything like that, and Ooh La La and Fandan and everything like that. But what I was wondering is, I know you went to youth theatre and stuff, but that was just all our patter growing up, and that I'm sure inspired loads of people to get into comedy or get into acting. So like, what was there a show or something like that for you? Like, what prompted you to get into like youth theatre?
Well, that's funny, that, isn't it? I suppose I remember the exact time when I got into youth theatre. I was in the age I was, and I remember getting in. I remember at primary school, somebody coming in a theatre group when I was at primary school in the 70s, bringing in a big, huge basket, and it was full of costumes, and we got to dress up.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is all right. Mm-hmm. This is all right because it's keeping us out of class as well.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed dressing up. I enjoyed being other people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a psychologist would make something of that. But
Escaping yourself.
There's something about that.
Yeah.
And about creating stuff and having fun while you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And learning stuff also that we did at drama school. And
yeah.
But when you were young watching stuff, when I was young, it was like, the young ones and different things.
Yeah.
And,
Rick Mayall's brilliant.
Cheers and all these kind of things. and I've been a huge Alan Partridge fan for the last 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, he's brilliant. By Rick Mail and Drop Dead Fred and the Young Ones, he was a big one for me growing up.
Dead Fred, that's
That
right.
was absolutely amazing. It was such a big part of my childhood. But so moving on to like the Still Game and Chewin' the Fat cast. Who was like the most naturally funny, or is it just shared?
I think we were all get our things, you know. I would say, you know, Jane's a natural, you know, storyteller, funny. But, you know, when he's at his best, it would be Ford. Ford's funny face, funny bones.
Yeah.
Funny bones. But you know, he would do stuff, and you know, I remember just looking at his face, make me laugh. You know,
Yeah.
It made me laugh. His his expressions, you know.
Speaking of that, how did you manage to get through? You know, like the invisible boss
Oh,
scenes.
that's right, yeah.
what was like Corpsing like in Chewin' the Fat? Was it not just?
It was mental. When I think of it, it was actually mental, wasn't it?
Yeah. Was it hard to get through?
Aye, with lots of laughter and Ballistic Bob. With the guy that was always going off his head, remember?
Yeah, yeah.
And they did one when he was a surgeon and to pull all the intestines out.
Yeah.
You don't know about this because you were fishing.
He was watching
But
Top Gear, he's talking shit.
That was real awful from a butcher's.
Oh, was it? Right, okay.
That just shows you how things change.
Yeah.
That was actual real innards that you're pulling out, probably full of all sorts.
I need to rewatch that.
But that was before, you know, before they said you can't really do that.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was lots of that, and I remember that you can still see, actually see that on the screen. You can see the panic.
So what do you? I know you said you don't watch like Still Game and Chewin' the Fat, but like, why do you think sketch comedies kind of, apart from online with reels and stuff, it's kind of died on TV?
It has. Even the word sketch
Yeah.
feels old-fashioned, doesn't
Yeah.
it? It's like astronaut or telescope. It feels
Salubrious.
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 I got it back.
It just seems. That said, there you go. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I do like your man on Netflix, Tim.
Oh my God, it's Tim Robinson.
Tim Robinson.
I think you should leave. That's the one I was going to bring
So, I
up.
mean, I think that's fantastic.
It's so good. Aye.
So that is a sketch show, but they're not like sketches like you would used to get in the 70s or 80s. They're properly fleshed out.
Yeah.
Large sketches.
Yeah.
But they're great.
Have you heard he was on SNL and they were his rejected sketches?
Is that right?
So he
I
had like a
believe
whole
that,
bank
yeah.
of them. And I'm going to see Patty Harrison, the one who's like scared how much she needs wine and everything. She's coming to the Fringe.
Oh, is
so
she?
I've got tickets to see that. Yeah, I can't wait.
He's funny. I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. That's a modern sketch show of sorts, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's class. I was literally about to bring that up and say that's maybe the only one I know that's kind of doing the rounds just
Yeah.
now. But yeah, he's absolutely amazing.
The
And a funny
stand-up we
face.
mentioned before is a big thing, and stand-up. You know, I like some of it, but it's tons of it, isn't there?
Yeah. Are
So
you like a
much.
big comedy fan then?
I like comedy. I love drama though. I love like, watching proper drama.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a thin line as well. I would say comedy and that kind of drama, and but stand-up seems to be an easy vehicle for people to. Not an easy vehicle. Lots of people do it.
Yeah.
It's easily accessible, isn't it? To try your bit out. You don't need to get people to commission you.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. You
Aye,
just go
folk
and
are
do
filming
it.
it themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's similar to photography in the way it's like really easy to do, but really hard to make it great.
Yeah. That's great. That's a good point.
Lots of people do it, and you're just like, nah.
Lots of people.
Including myself before.
Because it's easy to do doesn't necessarily mean you should do it.
Aye. That's like podcasts as well.
Well, in many ways, yes. So, aye. But, so I like that.
And what about like stand-up? So you're a fan of?
Who do I like? I do like when I get it in short bursts.
Mm-hmm.
So, see the reels that you do see, it gives you a flavour of something.
Yeah.
And I do like to get a foot, and then you can look up different people.
Yeah.
But that varies as well, you know. and-
Depending on your mood and stuff.
Uh-huh. I was listening to Jim Gaffigan yesterday.
Yeah.
I like Jim Gaffigan.
Aye.
I think he's a nice guy. I like him. but you know, lots of Eddie Murphy. I watch like coffee stars and cars getting coffee.
Yeah, comedians in cars.
Comedians in
yeah.
cars getting coffee. He's funny.
Aye.
He's dead funny.
Yeah.
And you can't fake that. He's just brilliant. His impressions and his delivery. He's got funny bones as well. Great.
Yeah. People say about Eddie Murphy is that the crazy thing about him is, like, if you look at, say, like Bill Burr, or as like Billy Connolly started with his banjo and then he was cracking jokes and he kind of built up
Yeah.
to who he is. Eddie Murphy came out at 18, fully formed,
Yeah.
hitting it with Ron
Yeah.
DeLuise. He was just like a 1 in a million.
Yeah.
But he's brilliant. But if you like kind of nice guys that are a bit daft, there's a few. Nate Bargatze, James Acaster. There's a few absolute
Yep.
toppers. If
Yep.
you're ever bored looking for something to listen to while you're fishing,
Well, you're fishing, that's right.
the earphones in.
Real men don't fish with earphones in.
No.
Can't hear the fish.
Oh my God, you're really selling this. Can't you hear the fish?
So we were talking earlier, and you either knew or knew of my uncle Freddie, right?
I didn't know that well. I certainly knew of your
Knew
Uncle
of.
Freddie, yes.
And I heard his chat line, which I won't share, which is
I don't do that. But I say my friend Cameron Jack, who's an actor, lives in London. Was an Arctic. He used to say, we used to see Freddie Bodley passing my school at lunchtime. He was as cool as fuck.
And his big long leather jacket.
Big long leather jacket.
70 CL stuffed in it.
One button opening the shirt. Everything's a big V, chest hanging out.
Like Strain.
That's right. As he goes fishing.
I was going to share one story actually with you. So, my auntie Brenda, like you're saying, Still Games International, she was moving back to Scotland, back to Ayr. So she'd been watching Still Game to try and, you know, like soak up a bit of the pattern, the way Scotland is. And she'd been watching Still Game, absolutely loved it. And when she arrived, she went with Freddie to the Chip in Ashton Lane, and Ford was there. And she's like, "Oh my God, it's Jack from Still Game." And Freddie's like, "Oh yeah, I knew him years ago." And she's like, "You need to go over. I want a picture with him." And Freddie's like, "No, like I've not spoken to him in years. It's not happening." She's like, "You need to go over. I want, like, come on, I can send it to all my friends. I've been showing them Still Game." And he's like, "I'm not doing it." And she's like, "Get over." So he kind of like traipsed over, and he's like, "Oh, hi Ford, it's Freddie Bodley. I don't know if you remember me." Blah blah. They chatted and stuff. So came over, got a photo, and sat down. And he's like, "There you go, there you go." And she's like, "Nah, I look horrible. You're going to need to go back."
Do it again.
So there's literally, I need to get them. If I can get a hold of them, I'll send them. There's like 20 photos. Ford was a great sport. He came back over, he's doing loads of poses, different faces, just like took about 20, 30 pictures, and he's like, "All right, great. Hopefully you're happy with one, yeah." It was, I can imagine being put in the spot like that. But have you had any strange fan interactions?
Well, we've had lots of different things. And the first time I got recognised was overseas, was in the Bronx Zoo, New York.
Aye.
It was bizarre because what happens back in the day was that people would say, we send the DVDs, we send the videos that we started out to my cousin in Canada, and we send the DVDs to my niece. So, you know, people watch stuff and people would stop you. It's quite bizarre when people would do that.
Yeah.
And London's the best place because you go, if you're in city of London, people standing outside or people walking past you, there'll be 3 guys in a group, and you always know the Scottish one. They go, "How you doing?" I was like, "Who is that?"
We had that earlier today. We were taking photos just up by the beach, and like 3 guys were just walking in front of us, and they kept going like,
Yeah, I know. That's right. Are you him? I'm him.
I did that once. I don't even know if you should cut this out. I did that once to Mikey. You remember Blind Mikey in Big Brother? And I was like, "Oh, that's Mikey just waving to him." I was like, "Oh wait, why am I waving?"
Why is your wings going back?
Oh,
But it's been, it's never ever eased. It's always, people tell you they watch it before they go to bed.
yeah.
They watch it to relax, and he watches it all the time. It really is quite successful.
Mm-hmm. And what about like your family and friends now? Is anyone kind of trying to follow in your footsteps or get into acting now?
Well, no, my boy, he's 14. He's taken to the guitar,
Right.
quite something. Plays football, but he's never ever shown any. He's quite. I'd never say never.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never know what happens. You know.
Yeah. Would you want that?
I wouldn't stop him doing that. Like, you can't be doing that. But I don't think he would.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fancies himself at a lot of other things before he would have a shot at that, I think.
Right, okay. Fair enough.
But I suppose I was the first, certainly the first in to do that, Nobody would go in and do such a risky thing.
Aye, when you're saying about your family, so it's a sort of like Billy Elliot situation but with acting.
Yeah.
No, fair play. Was there anyone, like any of your pals doing it as well? Was it literally just you?
No, it was literally me. I went to the youth theatre and it was all kids from all the different schools, but there was none of my pals did it, And I still see my pals in it, some of them, but I suppose it was always thought about, that's madness.
Mm-hmm.
When I was an apprentice joiner, one of the joiners said to me, "Do you know how many unemployed actors there are?" I went, "No." I said, "Do you know how many fucking miserable joiners there are?" Standing here and only time I got to wear my hard hat and put my nail belt on is when I had to go to the chip shop for them at lunchtime. Spotless. I was only wearing my hard hat because I fancied a girl in the butcher's. And she had blood all down the front of her jacket as well when I think about that back in the day. But,
psychologist again.
Again, exactly. So, no, I was first, but it is what it is. And at this age, and it's been quite good. I'm not a DJ either. Yeah, which is fantastic.
Have you got like main acting goals? Or is it more you teach acting now as well, right?
No, I don't teach. Jane teaches a bit of teaching. No, I don't teach. I just job away. We do we panto this year, and I was doing nothing for Netflix. I think I can talk about that. Called Department Q.
Right. It won't be out for like what?
It will not be out for a while.
At least a month. Ours will be out.
I think 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah, you'll be fine. It's called Department Q. But I've got a big Netflix thing filming in the studio in Edinburgh.
Oh, cool.
And so hopefully I'll be back in that at the end of next month. So that's what it is. It's just you never know. You never know what's happening, and it's always been like that for 30 years. I think
that's one of the things I've really enjoyed with the podcast because it is. Yeah, you're meeting new people, and sometimes it can be class. Sometimes it's like you're kind of struggling, and then once you're chatting to them, it ends up being good and stuff like that. And obviously we're doing the photos, and not everyone's used to getting photos, so that can be challenging. Or people are just pros like yourself.
Yeah, pros like myself. Thank you very much.
With your props and everything like that. But aye, definitely meeting people. So you're saying the community kind of thing is the part you enjoy most about it?
Oh, definitely meeting new people and talking to people you haven't seen for a while. That's why we do it. That is why we do it. And when we go and Jane and I are away working or we're touring away, like Jane and I tour ourselves. We're up in Skye last month. We're going to Shetland. We're going to Orkney. We're going to Belfast. Why am I stressed? So we're going to these places and you meet people and you do meet them and it's it's great.
Yeah.
It's fulfilling.
Yeah. I've never been to Shetland, but I'd love to go.
I've been years ago to tour and I went on the boat up and it was a 12-hour journey from Aberdeen to Shetland.
Yeah.
Because the boat it's very choppy. Well, an hour and a half into the journey I was in my bunk, fastened in with my seatbelt.
Fastened in, aye. Oh, is it proper rocky? I thought it'd be like a huge one.
Murder Polis it was, man. Yeah. Oh, up and down like that. And your legs are all jelly for 2 days once you get to Shetland. And you fly back in the Vomit Comet plane, which looks about 45 foot off the ground. It's the doors going like that, it's not even pressurised. And you're looking down going, look at that beautiful sea, see if this plane crashes, I'm gone forever, I'm lost.
Shetland Tourist Board, listen up.
But it's a magic place up there, as is Orkney. It's great just seeing these different places. That's been the fortunate thing, seeing places that you'd never see. Yeah,
having an excuse to go there and stuff like that.
You can go there and work at the same time.
Ideal. Yeah, there's a few photography accounts I follow there getting like the orcas that kind of like swim around and some of the cliffs and scenery is just absolutely insane.
My friend's in Seattle just now and she was seeing wildlife the other day.
Right.
Dolphins, things like that. She's on this boat, obviously, she's filming at Americans. And this dolphin jumps up and this American shouts at the top of her voice. I thought, how American? Do that again if you dare! I'd love to have punched her right in the head. Oh, they're loud, aren't they? I dare you! It's like, it's such this wrong volume for this trip.
That's amazing.
Oh my God.
To defend the Americans, there was something like that. I said, we were talking about the farm park earlier. So I worked there for like 6 years just after, I took like a gap year after school and then worked there like all the summers through uni. Brilliant job.
Okay,
If you get a chance, go to the farm park. There's like camels, monkeys, everything.
Absolutely.
But there's a bit called Water Wars, and it's two catapults, and you put in water balloons and you fight each other, and you buy like whatever it is, 10 balloons each. But what we used to do, there was a wee poor guy, I won't name him, but when he went in, say like a wee kid comes and they've got no one to play, we'd be like, right, Jim, you go in with her, you go in with her, and we just like launch the balloons on his roof when they fired there, so he'd get absolutely drenched, but he wouldn't know. And this wee American girl was watching it, and she had like her hand on her hip like that, and she's like, I see what you're doing. That is grade A redonkulous. In stitches, that's the best thing I've ever heard.
That's lovely. I love them. And I worked in Edinburgh. I was at drama school. I worked in the hotel at Haymarket, and we used to do the breakfast and everything else. And I remember there was this American family. He looked like Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
Moustache and big hands. She was American, and they had both her children with them. They were drinking Coke. I remember kids were drinking Coke at breakfast time, and he was reading the paper, and she's reading the menu at the breakfast. Quite a nice hotel. And she says, "Excuse me, sir." And I said, "Yep." She's, "Tell me, what is this black pudding?" I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, what is it?" I said, "Well, it's made from cow's blood." She went, "No, thank you, sir."
A flair for the dramatics with it.
Oh, they really are.
It's so good. The farm park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the farm park was so good. So you've been to the farm
Oh, I
park,
went to the
right?
farm park, loved the farm park, and I'll tell you a story about the farm park.
Right.
There was a woman on Facebook, can't remember her name. She says to me, "Could you come down to the farm park and do something?" Whatever it was. I went, "Aye, well, I suppose I could bring down the kids and that." And she said, "Aye, if you come down, I'll get you in for nothing and you can do this." I went, "All right," whatever it was. I went,
Feed the lemurs.
I don't know what it was.
It's usually
but
the cell.
I went, "Okay, that's fine." And then she messaged me back, and she messaged me back. She says, "No, I spoke to my boss. You can't get in for nothing." I went, "All right, I'm not coming then." Bizarre. But it was a nice place, right on the cloud, the bouncing big
Jumping
pillow.
pillows.
Oh,
Aye.
I must look up that photo. It was brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
The
That's
kids
a great
loved
place.
that.
Really?
Electric Bray.
Yeah, just round the corner,
Mhm.
right, yeah. I was down that way yesterday, picking up whiskey in Girvan. One of my favourite memories from the farm
Who
park.
are you? Fucking a pirate? With my cove? What was this?
I get sent, so there's a guy, he does an auction, it actually ties into the print, so there's a guy every year in my work, he does an auction for Glasgow Children's Hospital.
Right.
And he gets like art pieces, and he gets like photo prints and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And a Girvan distillery donated a 21-year-old
Ah,
bottle of whiskey,
see,
so I had
right,
to pick
okay.
it up. He lives in like Stirling or Falkirk
Right,
or something,
okay.
so I just picked it up and I'll take it to Glasgow. But having said that, I don't want this to be the end of the interview, but I sold a print on there saying this was like the last print I'll ever sell, but I still got like a couple of the prints. And because we're in Green and Shore, I've got a photo. I wasn't really interested in photography anymore. I was just in a wee bit of like a shit place. My gran had died a couple nights before, and I was obviously just living here. You can see like the sky was like orange,
Right.
just like pure orange. So I was like, right, I need to go down, and headed down the shore. And a guy walked by with like a big paddleboard and his dog, and he got on the paddleboard with his dog and started going over. And the sun had set. The sun was setting, but it had this like yellow line of carpet just right next to him. And I'm like, oh my gosh! So I was like sprinting
wow.
along. I got a photo, but I've got you a print of that. You don't need to like put it up or anything.
I'd
but,
love to see that.
I've
How
got you a print if
fantastic.
you want.
That's
I'll go
magic.
get it.
Oh, I love that.
It's the only one I've won a couple of awards for, but
Right, open it just now.
if you want, or we can just put it up on screen and open it later.
That is a class shot.
Right, help me out here.
Yeah, that's right. Should just unravel.
That is ridiculous.
Graded, don't you? But that was literally
Beautiful.
like the colours haven't been touched. I've literally got them off my camera. I've got a video. because I took a video because I was like, people are going to think I'm talking shit. So I took a video of the camera, them straight out my camera, and it was just that.
I love that.
Just that.
I'll get that put up. I went and got my costume. I went and got my costume framed that was left, my still game costume,
Oh yeah.
by a glazer.
Oh cool.
I put it in, got my hat, my watch,
Yeah.
mounted, and I forgot I'd done it. It was a year and a half before I remembered I'd done it, and she was always reminding me, come and get it. But I went and got it after COVID. She went, if you'd ordered that now, it would have been like 150 quid more expensive,
Right. Okay.
because that was in Shawlands, the framer in Shawlands in the arcade.
Oh, yeah,
Good
yeah.
women. So I've done that stuff, still got that kind of stuff, so I keep lots of stuff that I like to hang stuff up.
Memorabilia and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Have you got anything else from like your jobs?
I can't really tell you what I've got from my jobs, because obviously nobody knows I've got them.
Right. Yeah.
I don't really say no, I haven't really. I've got, we were given some stuff. I was given like cards from the cards game. I think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got those. I got things like that,
Oh, that's class.
Yeah.
Maybe a wee museum.
A museum, that's right. A museum.
We've got that. There's a woman at my work. I won't name her just in case it is like you're saying you're not allowed to have it. But her husband was really good friends with someone in Game of Thrones, and she brought in one of the obsidian dagger things like that to
Wow.
work because she knew I love Game of Thrones. And I was like, oh, cool. But I realised I had like a prop dagger in an office.
I thought you were going to say, there's a woman, I know I won't mention her, got a husband, he works at Sellafield, and he's given her this rod. I know, that's the thing, and I knew somebody who had, I won't mention her either, but her boyfriend gave her the house coat that the wife had in The Shining, the original movie,
Oh yeah.
and some of the paper that prints out.
All work and no
All
play.
work and no play.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that kind of thing. I do like the kind of memorabilia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. We've kept with the podcast, obviously having like some like we had like Sanjeev on and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I've kept a note of the questions we asked, and like we always take like a wee selfie. So I wanted to make like a wee some sort of, not a scrapbook, but like a wee
Yeah.
like a wee paper you get
Uh-huh.
printed out at the end of maybe like just when we finish up.
Absolutely.
Just a wee thing for a keepsake. Bye. I'm with you there. I don't know how to move back onto questions now. I keep thinking about the Bill Cum story.
The bull come. Well, do we need to have we ran out? Don't push
No,
it.
no. Not at all. So in terms of someone who might be watching that's like wanting to get into acting, whether it's dramatic or comedic, like would you have any advice? Like,
I think you should definitely do. I know I've just said that, but do your own thing if you've got that. If you've got that in you, to try and do something your own thing, whether it's writing or going out and doing it, because the business is, nobody will come for you generally.
Yeah.
I suppose so. You need to try and make your own luck in many ways. But definitely have fun with it. And the very nature of being in and doing stuff with other people like that, I think I've always enjoyed it for it's a great bonding place to be, and you learn a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think because back in the day with the photography, I'd reached out to a couple of people to try and get photos of them, but it wasn't really happening. But then, like you say, instead of like asking for a seat at the table, that cliche, you make your own table. And with the podcast, it's been good, like because then you reach out to people, and once the ball started rolling, and we had like Billy Kirkwood on, then more people were keen to get photos. It's been an amazing experience, and I never thought I'd be able to meet like folk like you and Sanjeev. And
I
all
think
the
it's
comedians
great
and
that
stuff.
you be and it's very important that you be yourself as well. Don't be, be
A wank.
Be a wank, because that'll rule you all day long. Be a person that. Treat people as you would like to be treated, and that you can't go. That's a great place to start, and that opens more opportunities as well, because it doesn't matter how good I'm sure you know that, good actor or singer or whatever you are. If you're an absolute cock, nobody wants to ruin you.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
What is to bring it back to Chewin the Fat, what is the ratio of good guys to wanks in the Scottish media?
In the Scottish media, well, I would say you're a lot of good guys, but there's at least a minibus full of wanks.
Is that the
I'm talking a long wheelbase minibus as well.
Is that the official collective name? A minibus of wanks.
That's right.
That's class. So apart from the Netflix thing, you've got coming up, anything else in the pipeline?
We've got another, to say, we're another 10 dates, 12 dates of this touring. Jane and I are doing it with the rest of the guys. We're off to Peterborough
Right.
early next month.
Is that the one you brought to the Gaiety?
Yes.
Yeah, I think my mum went to see that.
Yeah.
She was a big fan of Sanjeev's socks.
Yes, that's right. He loves a sock, a colourful sock. So we did that, and well, Jane and I, obviously, we were our 10th year doing Panto down there. We've got the Burn Suppers coming up again, you know, that kind of thing, that period. So, but it's been not bad. That's the truth of the matter is, you know.
Yeah, enjoying it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, and that's
Oh,
cool.
absolutely, and meeting people and coming. I do love it. I do love. I'm introverted. I don't like spending hours and hours and hours with folk, but I like going out and doing stuff different. I really do.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And I went to one of your, you know, the Still Game masterclass, like the BAFTA masterclass. This was years ago. It wasn't just you. It was like you and Paul and Ford and Craig, I think.
Oh, was that up in Glasgow?
Yeah.
I remember
It's
that.
like a BAFTA writing masterclass thing.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Because I was trying to do. My only foray into comedy was I had a friend that was a runner at the comedy unit, and I mentioned that I was like trying to do sketches and stuff. So they got in touch with the comedy unit guy, and I said, "Oh, can you give me feedback?" and sent some sketches in. And he's like, "Right, I like that. These are pish." So I had like 2 out of like 20 or whatever. So he's like, "Tell you what, Only an Excuse is coming up. You can write a few sketches, and you know if any are good, we'll get them on and we'll get in touch for payment." So I was like, "Oh my god!" So didn't tell anybody. I wrote loads of sketches, sent them all in, and he got back in touch. He's like, "Okay, we're going to film these 6, and then if any make the final cut, we'll get back in touch for payment." So I told everyone at work, I told my family, told my friends. Not a fucking one got on. I was absolutely gutted.
That's the tough end of it, isn't it?
Yeah, but I told that story to a comedian in Glasgow years later, and he's like, "Oh, I know someone at Breaking the News. They do jokes and stuff." So I ended up, I've done jokes for them for like 5-6 years. And it's been just my wee contribution into comedy because I love it.
I know a pal that was in the original Gregory's Girl, invited to the premiere and all that. Yeah, I've seen that. That's great. That was pre-fishing days. She went to see that. Oh, great and fantastic. No, her scene was completely cut. She wasn't even in the movie. Nobody bothered. Nobody managed to say it though.
Yeah, that's a shame when you don't get the heads up.
But that's you know, that's how that works as well. They'll film so much, and you never know.
Yeah, but the reason I brought up the masterclass was there's a story that Sanjeev requested we get you to tell. I think it's your story. It's to do with a curly whirly.
Aye, Sanjeev loves that story. It was when I lived in Pollock's Shields Road in Queen's Drive. I remember going in, there was a shop across the road. Asian guy had it with his 2 sons, right grumpy. And he used to sit, his paper open. And I went in one time and I was half cut, and I was looking at the sweets, they were all lined out in the front shelf. And I says to him, "If you get any curly whirlies?" And he said to me, he never even looked up. He went, "No curly whirly, too long for shelf." I don't know if you can do the accent. That's how Sanjay would do the accent. He's a good lad, Sanjeev. They're all good lads. They're all good.
And is there any, like, from those days with like wee moments like that that ended up maybe contributing to, say, like Naveed's character or whatever? I know you said you didn't get involved in the writing really, but
Well, there was a whole lot of thing about, but like, I think they did in the last show. Winston gets covered in something in a caravan. There was that actually happened to me.
all right.
I went with my child and our partner up to this fancy caravan up in Anstruther. Somebody let her
Yeah.
borrow a fancy one, and I remember she went in first with the keys. Oh, she's looking about, nice and that. And the kids went in, and then I had stuff under this arm, and I had a bottle, thankfully, a 2-litre bottle of Diet Coke. And I walked in, just into the front, and the bottle slipped out of my hand. And however it landed, it went off like a bomb. There wasn't a drop in it. She was
Yeah.
covered. It was up the walls, up the ceiling. She just screamed. It was, honest to God, it was like a terrorist attack, and I mean that. And it was terrible. And that's me. I had to go to St Andrews before I'd even unpacked and spent 75 quid in cleaning products and towels to come back. So there's bits and bobs that have happened, certainly, that we've put in.
Yeah, oh, that's good. I remember that episode because I'm sure Winston just had his hole and comes back with a. The mention of getting your hole in that show is absolutely hilarious.
No,
Just
I
something
know.
about old people chatting about getting their
Aye,
hole.
that's right.
We can keep this in or we can leave it. My pal Alan's question was, he was drunk when he asked, out the still game lads, who's got the best piece?
You're talking about cock?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I just took my sunglasses off.
That's your answer.
We'll leave it at that.
There you go, Alan. Your question got fucking answered.
Alan, good God.
He's a minister's son as well.
There you go. That makes sense, actually.
They're always the same, aren't they?
There you go, eh?
Oh, class. Aye, I do. When you're talking about like things in your life coming to a real thing, and which is why I was excited when I found Dear Green Place. I've not seen it all, just watched like half episode 1, but I like the pacing of it. It's really, I had a good few laughs. I think the fan park's perfect for a wee TV show like you guys.
Well,
in it.
it's something like that, and that's the kind of thing that when people write stuff. Now, you need to write. You do, unless you need to write with that kind of thing in mind, where you can have a place that's where it's enclosed. You can do it there, for cost wise and all that as well. Yeah. So that's definitely a lovely. It's a lovely feeling. This whole neck of the woods actually is a real light to it, which I like.
Yeah, it's cool. There's one. I think I started to say this story. I don't know what happened, but I used to work in the quad bikes, and next door to the wee enclosure was Ralph the camel, and they tried to get a wee pal for him, a wee partner for him, loads of times. It just didn't happen. So he was on his own. He's always bored. But he had his wee feed bucket, and he was very fond of this feed bucket. So if it was quiet, it'd be out in the middle of the field, right? And he'd come out and he'd like saunter about and just check if anyone's watching. And he would just lower himself on it. And with his humps, he would start going like on the bucket. You come out, Ralph, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And he got embarrassed.
Is that right?
Yeah, he started jumping about and like ran away. And
Poor Ralph.
That was it hilarious.
What's Alan, the minister's Sunday? Can he not hang about with him for a couple of hours a week?
Dress him up as a bucket. There you go.
What area is this? East, South Ayrshire?
South Ayrshire, yeah.
Well, I think people need to remember, and it's very important that you get together, that we go hard and stop Witherspoon's getting the licence to regenerate that castle. That's what I'm talking about. That'll be the next thing. I'm telling you.
No doubt.
Without a doubt. Greenham Castle.
Greenham Castle, yeah.
Greenham Castle.
And unfortunately don't know anything about it.
I know, it's a pity that the three of them know absolutely fuck all about anything round about. They know that's called sand, which is great, and that's water. Oh, fucking trio dicks.
That may be the new podcast name.
Trio dicks.
Trio Dicks. Maybe Stroon in the edit you can put up some facts about Greenham Castle so we don't look so bad. Yeah. Just do like a voiceover of you saying it. Oh. I don't know how to wrap up.
Well, you don't...
Being called dicks is a good way to
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Well, I would say it's been great, actually. Really, what a venue to come and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It really, truly is.
We're lucky with the weather as well, but thank you so much for coming down, and it's been an absolute honour and pleasure.
It really has been great to meet you guys. Thank you very much.
It's a real honour.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the questions and forgetting questions and all that. That's all part of it. It's wonderful. I'll take it with me to my grave. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Cheers.